Shall we start?
Yes, please go ahead.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Respected President and CEO Mr. Jawad Majid Khan, Deputy CEO Mr. Farhan Beg, distinguished analysts, investors, and all esteemed participants joining us both in person and virtually, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. On behalf of Bank Makrama Limited, it is my privilege to extend a warm welcome to this corporate briefing session for the year 2025. We truly value your time, your continued interest, and the confidence you place in our bank as we progress on our transformation journey. Today's session will commence directly with the overview given by the President and CEO, followed by the presentation by our Financial Controller, Mr. Mohammad Kashif Malik, who will take you through the bank's performance, key milestones, and financial indicators. Following the presentation, we will open the floor for your questions. With that, I would like to request President Sir for his brief overviews. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I welcome you all who are present here today, online and physically. My team members. So, thank you very much. Alhamdulillah, it's a great day to be with you and give the corporate presentation of the bank. And it is with immense pride and pleasure to reflect on the remarkable journey of our bank as we celebrate multiple milestones and achievements that have eluded us for a long time. The year 2025 will be etched in our history as the year of remarkable turnaround, unwavering commitment, and of unrelenting pursuit of excellence. There has been a fulfillment of our promises, the realization of our vision, the culmination of our tireless efforts that have converged to create a truly unforgettable year. We have been going through a restructuring for the last 5 years, and you must have all witnessed that once we started this journey 5 years ago, we as an entity had a major concern of a going concern. Our financials were not published from 2018 till 2021. We were all the defaulter counter of the Pakistan Stock Exchange and in breach of major regulatory conditions. There was a hole in the balance sheet of over 50 billion rupees, a balance sheet size of less than 100 billion having a hole of more than 50. So rightly so that there were concerns, serious concerns of a going concern. So since then, we embarked upon a journey with the introduction and commitment of a UAE-based sponsor who actually has not only shown faith in Pakistan as a country, but also in our bank as an entity and the financial sector of Pakistan as a whole. And in the last 3.5 years, that unprecedented commitment has actually reflected an equity injection of over 41 billion rupees in the bank. Through an FDI cash of over 15 billion rupees and amalgamation of their key asset of Global Heli worth over 26 billion in the bank. Other than that, we had 4 or 5 key milestones of restructuring that have been, alhamdulillah, achieved. And today, as we speak, alhamdulillah, we are both MCR and CAR compliant. Our MCR is 15 billion and our CAR is 11.56. In today's news, you must have seen that our rating, which was suspended in 2018, has been reinstated to an A Last in 2018, it was triple B minus and an A minus. So it has come up 3 notches to an A minus in the long term and an A2 in the short term. So I've already covered the 41 billion rupees of the unprecedented investment in the bank. Similarly, there have been some major restructuring in the balance sheet. One of the major component has been the size of the balance sheet, which has increased both in deposits and in our investments in, I think, 3 multiples. We have been able to recover, again, probably one of the biggest recoveries of non-performing loans. Only in this year, we have recovered over 21 billion rupees in reversal of provisioning. We've been able to sell one of our strategic assets, which is previously known as the Summit Tower, now the Cullinan Tower, and the proceeds have been realized, the respective capital gains. So in all, whatever, alhamdulillah, we have achieved in the last few years, I could easily say it could be a case study, or it is an unprecedented turnaround, an epic turnaround of any financial institution in the history of Pakistan. This would not have been possible, obviously, without the support and commitment of our foreign investor, who, despite the political and economic risks, remain committed and still have a lot of faith in this organization and its future growth. This also stands testimony and also gives great positivity for Pakistan.
आमिर ये एनडीएम जो किया है तेरे T+1 वाली की है ना नॉर्मल T+1 है ना
ये जो काइंडली जो ऑनलाइन पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं अपने माइक काइंडली म्यूट करते हैं.
So, with all that, I will come to the balance sheet and the numbers. Whatever we have just narrated is reflected in our balance sheet. So, here in the presentation, we have a restated balance sheet of 2024 and the balance sheet of 2025. But it is pertinent to mention, if you look at the numbers of our last quarter, September 2025 results, the CAR was negative by 78% and the equity was negative by about 16 billion rupees. From there, we have an MCR compliance, we have a CAR of 11.56% and a positive equity of 23.7 billion rupees. On the P&L, we are at a situation where the net interest margin is almost at a break even. And going forward, the liquidity generated from all the restructuring initiatives which were undertaken and have been completed, that liquidity is with the bank and would reflect in as a cash and an earning asset going forward in every quarter, inshallah. Our non-funded income again has seen some great returns compared to the last year. So is the case of the NPLs, which I've just told you. That resulted, the last thing that we did was the reduction of capital, which enabled the bank to go and clean its balance sheet from the accumulated losses of over 50 billion rupees, which eventually resulted in a pre-tax profit of 19 billion and post-tax profit of 8.7 billion and an EPS of 8.79. So again, I would like to thank the sponsor, the board of directors and my team, who have been, very patient and have put in a lot of hard work, burned a lot of midnight oil, and obviously the support of the market and the minority shareholders. This would not have been possible. What I assure you is that, inshallah, going forward, every quarter will bring in more success and more glory. It will be a very stable organization with a very clean balance sheet as we speak. The only way forward is to grow. Very soon, we will be allowed to go do business as usual. There were a few restrictions which will be lifted. Our focus will be on growth of deposits, current accounts, and our forte. Despite these bad times and these restrictions, we were able to do some good trade business, non-funded business. In 2024, it was about 300 billion 2025 it was 200 billion despite having very restricted correspondent banking relationships with a rating which was suspended. So the rating being reinstated, now the government sector and the corporate sector will be available to us to do business. Our correspondent banking relationships, both internationally and in the domestic market, will be there for us to expand our treasury operations. And we think that inshallah we'll be growing in our areas of strength, which is doing some great business, going digital without expending a lot of money on the digitalization, having a lot of collaborations with the top fintechs and digital players in the market, being there, settling back. And we think that while being risk averse, we still have a great appetite to grow this year and having a very profitable balance sheet. In the end, I would like to say that yes, this has been an epic turnaround. And today, if you look at our share price and our market cap, while being one of the smallest balance sheet, we still are an entity having a balance sheet footing of over $200 million, which obviously the market and the PSX has seen some unprecedented downturn that started in the month of Feb and has further been hit by the war in Iran. Rather, I would say the world is at war. So with things normalizing, hopefully in the next few weeks, we think that only there is an upside for the bank and its valuation and the share price to go up. One more thing that again is unprecedented, which is the commitment and the graciousness of our sponsor, whereby to take care of the minority stakeholders, they've reduced their shareholding from 86 to 76%, which actually entails that as soon the case is in the final stages of the court, and today we had the shareholders meeting where the absolute majority of the shareholders approved the same. So once the Islamabad High Court approves the same, in a very simple terms, every shareholder will get at least 49% of bonus shares, which again will be one of the highest in the market. So more or less, these are some things that I wanted to discuss with you as a brief. And you guys are more than welcome to have, if you have any questions or any further details that you would like me to discuss. My team is with me, my DCO and the financial controller. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. So we have around more than 10 participants online as well. So I hope they are hearing this, and if there are any questions from them, you're most welcome to ask, please. If there is no questions from there, if there's any question from please.
Assalamu alaikum. I'll add a few questions, and if you can reply them in one go. Apparently, I assume, but of course you can confirm, one of those TSC holders जो कि 2011 से आपसे बहुत नाला थे और मुख्तलिफ कोर्ट्स में आपसे जो है वो उनका इख्तिलाफ राय चलता रहा, is AKD Securities Limited, and they are one of those who will be issued shares, और ये problem solve हो जाएगा. Second, if you can kindly elaborate your strategy towards the hedging of foreign exchange risk. In one of the recent media, podcasts, there was mentioned that USD parity may touch 300 because of the new IMF reforms coming in. One more thing I wanted to ask is the restatement of previous year figures, if you can elaborate in particular areas where you have revised the figures. And the last is the audit report that is going fat. Apparently, and I appreciate that, before I continue, that you have, deliberated to organize this financial brief, which is very much required as we are talking figures in billions. And you elaborated as well as we find a lot of information in the notes to the accounts towards the, the treatment of NPLs and recording of the provisioning, and it is in compliance with the regulator. So, in theory, there doesn't look very imminent need for auditor to add emphasis of matter para here because he's done his job. You've done your job. The regulator's done his job, and we want to be, as shareholder, want to look at the report, which is a very not only one. If you look at the international auditing standard, there are more than 13 templates given to the auditor to choose which type of report he has to issue. So, as you very rightly said, way back in 2011, there was a going concern mentioned in one of the last paras of the report. So, we as shareholders are able to know that very clearly right from there what's coming forth, and when it comes out is sigh of relief. So, I will be great to hear your comments about that.
So I'll just take one question at a time. So yes, on the TFC, there has been an overwhelming two-third majority which has approved the scheme of arrangement of the TFC restructuring, which was 1.5 billion of principal and about 1.6 billion, 1.7 billion of the markup. The same shall be converted into Tier 1 and will be buffered over and above the CAR that we have already published, which was 11.56%. So the Tier 1 will increase by about 3.3 billion over and above that. We actually needed 50%, but we in fact had 69% of the TFC holders approval, about 70% of the TFC. That also, would give the other shareholders a positive sign that even today, those TFC holders were predominantly major banks and DFIs, including some other funds like equity and others. So they have agreed to take this at a rate of about 118 rupees at the current market and about 6.25 on the previous rate before the reduction. So yes, very rightly said, everything is resolved and it is today the shareholders have also given their unanimous approval for the same. Once it is approved from the High Court, which will take maybe a couple of months, it will be implemented. Was this the question? Have I addressed?
Yes.
Okay. Second is the FX risks. If you look at our balance sheet, you will be, it is heartening for everyone to know that it is one of the cleanest balance sheet of any bank that we can have, with the minimal risk assets on the balance sheet. Most of our deposits are invested in government securities, that too into short term. On the trade side, again, every bank has to generate its own foreign exchange. So in 2024, we did about 300 billion, which was reduced to 200 billion, predominantly because we were based on our own generation of dollars from our exports. So we are very well hedged. There is no future risk. And as far as the dollar parity and the IMF, we are yet to see that. I have a different view because overall, if you look at the macroeconomic situation in Pakistan, the dollar has remained stable despite many shocks. Although right now this shock is there and we have a major import, biggest component is the fuel import that we have. But still, if the war is over in the next few weeks, I think that will be taken care of. But the major thing is that overall, both on the fiscal and the monetary side of the economy, there has been a major curtailment on the demand. The demand of the economy is not there. So once the demand is curtailed through fiscal and monetary measures, the dollar parity and the foreign exchange usually remains stable. So in the current scenario, we think that demand will further be curtailed. It cannot go further up. So in my personal opinion, it is totally my personal opinion, I don't see any foreign exchange risks for the time being. Then was obviously your comment on the reinstated figures of 2024 and 2025. Here I would like the financial controller to add a few things. Rather, there has been one major component, which is the amalgamation of Global Heli of 26 billion rupees. Because the court had approved that on retrospective basis. And the scheme was actually submitted to the court in November 2024 on the position of June 2024 results, audited accounts. So once the scheme was approved, its impact happened on the previous year, which is 2024. So other than this 26 billion, rest everything remains the same. Which is also, in my initial, brief, I told you that even if you look at, forget about the 2024 annual results, even if you look at the 2025 September results, our CAR was negative by 78%, our equity was negative by 16 billion. So the major turnaround has actually happened and realized in the last quarter of 2025. Yes, audit reports, they, with so much happening in the course of last 1 year, from a going concern to becoming capital compliant bank, obviously, I personally think, and if you compare it with any other bank or financial institution, this is one of the best audit reports that one could have. Alhamdulillah. So if you can discuss the.
As you said that 2024 numbers, why they are reinstated, as Jawasip explained rightly, that the court has approved the scheme effective date September 30th, 2024. And after that, we have to reinstate our 2024 numbers, and the only change in that numbers is in other assets, that is the amalgamation of that property into the bank of around 27 billion and liability portion of around 1 billion. Other than that, there has been no change in the financials of 2024. And secondly, just adding on to the audit report, the report, Alhamdulillah, the going concern issue that was highlighted by the auditor in the last report has been removed after achieving all the objectives that we planned for. And other than that, the normal emphasis are two, which are in the normal due course of the audit procedures and the audit report format that is given by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan. And the report is aligned accordingly in that form.
So there's one question from Mr. Mustafa of Taurus Securities, and he wanted to explain the restructuring and capital reduction in layman terms.
Okay. So in layman term is that once we enter 2025, there have been a carried forward loss of over 50 billion rupees on our books. So since all the restructuring fundamental measures which we were supposed to undertake have been completed, if we had not done that final stage of wiping out those losses from the balance sheet, whatever profits we would have done this year and subsequent years would have been adjusted towards those accumulated losses. The EPS would never have been positive. The bank would not have been able to pay any dividend or bonus to the shareholders till the time all those were adjusted. So since we were cleaning all the balance sheet, our capital is completed, we have become capital compliant, all the measures have been completed, so we reduced the capital equivalent to those 50 odd billion rupees of losses, which has actually resulted in a positive EPS, and now there is nothing pending on the balance sheet. I hope this
Yes.
gives the.
Yes, this is exactly the same.
So going forward, it enables the bank to give dividends and the bonus and have a positive EPS, which is already reflected in our books. Although we have not directly given a dividend, but the sponsor has been gracious enough and they have reduced their shareholding from 86 to 76%. And every shareholder, once the scheme is approved by the court, whosoever is the shareholder on that particular day will get at least 49 to 50% of bonus shares or shares as a gift. This has obviously enabled us in giving that also.
So when is that expected? The court will give you.
Today was a major milestone. Once you give a scheme to the court, what they do is they give 21 days to the shareholders for their approval. Today we had the shareholders meeting and it has been unanimously approved. The other formality, which is just a formality, is to get the approval from the regulators. which is the SECP and the State Bank of Pakistan. Since it is a very simple scheme, there is nothing against it. There is a shareholder who is gracious to give a benefit to the minority shareholders, so there should not be any issue in that. It is the regular process of the court, which usually takes a month or maybe 2 months.
About by Apple and or specific.
I can't say, but usually there should be 2 to 3 hearings once Islamabad High Court. So it should be any time.
Usually takes longer time, high court
Usually if the scheme is complicated, it takes longer time, but this is a very simple scheme. You know, in every scheme there are other attached risks or other stakeholders to that. Here it is a guy who says that just give a gift to others. There is no objection. There should not be any objection.
Since we are managing it, normally what happens in some schemes, some objections are raised. So the court goes into the depth of what the objections are. In the case of, in our particular, this scenario, it's one of the sponsor shareholder who is just giving away some portion of its shares. So in effect, whoever gets the shares, it's a win-win situation. So we do not expect any objection. So on the basis of that, normally the procedure is this meeting has been, one of the meeting has been convened by the court also. So this is the shareholder, we had an annual general meeting and a meeting which was convened by the court for the shareholders to approve this. So that has been approved. Simultaneously, the court also seeks objections, whether any regulator has an objection, which is the SECP and the State Bank, and hopefully they are already on board, so we will get those approvals. And because of that, everything hopefully are aligned, and we should expect that the scheme should be sanctioned within a matter of 2 months.
and hereafter next going forward.
What will happen is when the court sanctions the scheme, we will do a book closure. So whoever are the shareholders of the, as of that particular book closure date, on a proportionate basis, the shares of an excellency are going to get cancelled, and simultaneously the new shares will be issued to the shareholders in that proportion. So effectively, the shareholding of excellency, which is currently 86%, will get reduced around 75 to 76%, and that remaining delta of 10 will be given to the minority shareholders. So it's a win-win situation for all the shareholders.
Whosoever is the shareholder on that particular day.
So 49% will be given. 49.
TFC की क्या प्राइस चल रही है?
TFC तो जी कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा।
TFC
लिस्टेड नहीं था जी, ये तो कन्वर्ट हो गया ना अब जी।
सर ये जो आप बोनस शेयर इशू करने जाएंगे, will it be attracting tax
If you can comment.
No, this is the reason we have structured it as a scheme of arrangement. So in the scheme of arrangement, there is a concept that sort of, whoever gets the who is the beneficiary, who gets the shares, they remain exempt. That is the reason we have structured it under section 279 to 281, because that has the sort of exemption under the relevant income tax laws.
विदाउट टैक्स
जो आपको ट्रांसफर होंगे वो आपको फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट होंगे। आप सब्सिक्वेंटली जब आप बेचेंगे तो आपको ज्यादा कैपिटल गेन टैक्स
मिलेगा, लेकिन जिस वक्त ट्रांसफर होगा
ट्रांसफर
डिडक्शंस होती है। जब हमने मतलब अदर कंपनीज के भी जब भी बोनसेस हमें रिसीव हुए उससे पे टैक्स जो है डिडक्ट हुए
ये
तो लेकिन ये क्या सिनेरियो होगा कि इस पे टैक्स जो है वो डिडक्ट नहीं होगा?
बिकॉज सेक्शन 70A ऑफ द इनकम टैक्स 97 ऑफ द इनकम टैक्स ऑर्डिनेंस अगर आप पढ़ेंगे तो उसमें सेक्शन 279 टू 282 के अंदर जो स्कीम सैंक्शन होती है उसको टैक्स एग्जेम्पशन दी है। एंड दैट इज द सोल रीजन हमने पूरा को स्ट्रक्चर इसी कंपनीज ऑर्डिनेंस के थ्रू किया है, जिसमें सॉर्ट ऑफ सो दैट एक स्कीम के थ्रू भी हो जाए, कोर्ट सैंक्शन भी हो जाए और आपको रेलेवेंट टैक्स बेनिफिट भी मिल जाए।
ओके, थैंक यू। फर्स्ट टाइम आई एम लिसनिंग दिस थिंग, मतलब इससे पहले जो है कभी ऐसा नहीं हुआ, मतलब
ये गिफ्ट भी है ना, इट्स नॉट अ बोनस
जी
आप वॉलंटियर कर लें हम
जी ठीक हो जी, थैंक यू।
बिकॉज वो आई थिंक द वर्ड बोनस चेंज यूज होता है तो दैट आई थिंक वो उसकी कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट कर रहा है।
जी सर, गिफ्ट शेयर
साहब इनके काट लें सर, ये
जी सर।
Sir, 159 page, I draw your attention to the capital adequacy, leverage ratios and liquidity requirements. I mean to say, your paid up capital and advance against the shares is around 15 billion. But for the purpose of calculation of this capital adequacy ratio, common equity tier 1 capital has been taken as 5.860 billion rupees. Whether it is an average equity, what is the reason behind that? You have not taken 15 billion full.
नहीं सर एक्चुअली व्हेन अगर आप ऊपर देखें तो जो एमसीआर की कैलकुलेशन है उसके अंदर हमारा 15 बिलियन रिफ्लेक्ट कर रहा है. दिस एमसीआर इज एज पर द गाइडलाइन गिवन बाय द स्टेट बैंक. जो जो कंपोनेंट्स आप इक्विटी के पोर्शन में आप ले सकते हैं उसकी एमसीआर की कैलकुलेशन.
मैं यही कह रहा हूँ कि ये क्योंकि ऑन द फेस ऑफ इट इज 10 बिलियन ऑन द फेस ऑफ इट 10 बिलियन पेड अप कैपिटल 5 बिलियन एडवांस. सो ऊपर आपने लिखा है मिनिमम कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट एमसीआर पेड अप कैपिटल नेट ऑफ लॉसेज इज 15 बिलियन. और सीईटी 1 आपने लिया है 5.860 अंडर द डायरेक्टिव्स ऑफ द स्टेट बैंक ऑफ पाकिस्तान. इसका रैशनल क्या है, उन्होंने कम क्यों किया है ऐसे?
कम नहीं किया सर. ये एलिजिबल कैपिटल जो होता है इसमें कुछ डिडक्शंस होती हैं. दिस कैपिटल इज फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ कार कैलकुलेशन. कार की जब आप कैलकुलेशंस करते हैं तो उसमें आपका जो एलिजिबल कैपिटल की कैलकुलेशन होती है उसमें 10 बिलियन पे कुछ डिडक्शंस होती हैं. दैट इज वन ऑफ द मेजर डिडक्शन इज जो कि आपका डेफर्ड टैक्स खड़ा होता है वो डायरेक्ट डिडक्टेबल हो जाता है फ्रॉम द डे वन.
ठीक है.
तो जिसकी बेसिस पे आपका वो डिडक्ट होकर 5.8 हो जाता है. बट एक्चुअली आपका एलिजिबल कैपिटल या जो एमसीआर के लिए कैलकुलेशन होगी दैट इज 15 बिलियन.
तो गोइंग फॉरवर्ड यही फार्मूला इस पे लगेगा या कोई एडजस्टमेंट होगी इसकी आगे?
रिक्वायरमेंट बाज़िल जी की बेसिस पे ये कैलकुलेट हो रहा होता है और ये रिक्वायरमेंट स्टेट बैंक प्रोवाइडेड है और इसमें कोई चेंज नहीं है अभी.
So you have not been compliant to this leverage ratio because the required ratio is 3%. You are at 2.69%. Are you hopeful that next year or in the mid of this year you will be able to comply with this ratio as well?
इंशाल्लाह सर we are working on it. और उसकी leverage ratio की compliance के अंदर एक major component होता है that is the deposit as well. As we explained earlier as well कि हमने deposit की shedding भी कुछ की थी on एक deliberate basis पे एक decision लेते हुए कि हम high cost deposit को भी shed करेंगे और उसको manage करते हुए चलेंगे. इंशाल्लाह ताला by this year we will be compliant with leverage ratio.
सर अगर आप बुरा ना माने सारे प्रोसेस में आपने जो है शेडिंग में करंट भी शेड कर दिया, ये क्यों किया आप?
सर मैं आपको एक चीज एक करंट का मैं सर
देखिए करंट जो है ना इसमें 2-3 कंपोनेंट्स हैं.
ठीक.
वन इज दैट हमारे जिस तरह ट्रेड होता है ना जी, ट्रेड के साथ बिकॉज हम ट्रेड कर रहे थे 100% कैश में, हमें अलाउड नहीं था ट्रेड एट 15% और 20% और 5% मार्जिन पे. सो वट एवर LC वी वर ओपनिंग इट वॉज ऑन 100% कैश. सो वट हैपन्स इज दैट यूजली दीज आर 3 months. तो LC जब रिटायर होती है वो आपको पता नहीं होता कब होगी. तो यूजली हमारे डिपॉजिट्स जो हैं जब वो इकट्ठी LCs मेच्योर होती हैं तो उसमें भी निकलता है. तो वो मोस्टली करंट अकाउंट मार्जिन अकाउंट्स होते हैं. सो इट्स जस्ट अ टेम्पररी फिनोमेना. प्लस आप अगर देखेंगे तो जो ऑब्वियसली मार्केट को भी अगर आप एनालाइज करें तो हार्डली 2-4 बड़े बैंक्स हैं जो कि करंट अकाउंट में पड़े. यूजली करंट अकाउंट रिमेन अंडर स्ट्रेस. प्लस लास्ट थिंग बट नॉट द लीस्ट, जब आप इस्लामिक में कन्वर्ट करते हैं तो मोस्टली, क्योंकि मैंने आपको बताया इनफैक्ट हमारी 99 ब्रांचेस हो चुकी हुई हैं, तो मोस्टली लोग फिर प्रेफर करते हैं कि वो न्यूमरेटिव पे आ जाए.
सर बस यहाँ पे हमारे एक दोस्त ने आपसे मार्केटिंग और पब्लिसिटी के चार्जेस के बारे में पूछा था. तो 76 मिलियन तो आपने इस दफ़ा खर्च किया था इस दफ़ा 2024 में. And now you need to spend more and more and more because you have to attract the general public and to turn this bank to the Janta's bank. So I am hopeful and I am confident that going forward you will be putting some money here as well and you will be reaching the public through social media, electronic media and print media as well. And one thing more because आपके यहाँ since ये बैंक एक काफ़ी छोटा बैंक है and I am not that much confident कि कोई expertise level जो है ना आपका because of this attrition purpose को इतना नहीं है. आपको you need to improve on your learning and development as well because spending 7.6 billion rupees only on this development purposes, I would like to request you to, because you will be entering into some risk areas as well this year, so you would like to spend, I would like to see you spending more money on the learning and development of your existing staff. Thank you very much.
Sir, there are a few more questions. This is in continuation of the previous question on restructuring. Thank you for your response. Does it mean that via the capital reduction, all the existing shareholders then absorb the 50 billion negative equity loss on their investment?
Not really, because again, if you look at 86% is the sponsor, so it starts from there.
From the top.
And the second thing is that simultaneously he has been, he has surrendered 10% of his capital, and which has in return come up as almost 50% of a gift share. So we have actually diluted it as much as possible. It is a trade-off. Usually, if you look at the traditional history of all the financial institutions, if they do not take this step, then they always remain in this gray area. Once you do this step, you are positive on equity, you are positive on your EPS, you are a dividend-giving organization, and then you are growing your balance sheet. In the medium and the long term, it is a win-win for everyone.
So the next question is from Mr. Faisal Siddiqui. The core operation still showed negative net markup of rupees 856 million and rupees 1.95 billion loss before credit cost. What is your normalized 2025 pre-tax and post-tax profit after stripping out non-recurring items? Mr. Kashi.
Yeah, it's again a very technical and a pertinent question, but you have to see it in the entirety. So this 856 million is an improvement from a 4 billion. You understand? So there's a huge turnaround here. Secondly, if you look at the section below this, our treasury has realized a lot of capital gains, which was the right decision in our opinion, rather than waiting for those capital gains to be realized over the maturity of those investments. So if we take out those capital gains of over 2 billion, 2.2 billion rupees and put them on the first column, the net interest income would have been positive. So it was actually positive, but since we have taken the treasury capital gains, it has come on the column below. So which actually reflects that the net interest income, we were positive in 2025. The second important thing is that most of these recapitalization efforts, which includes a 5 billion advanced against the share capital of Excellency, all those cash recoveries which we have actually received against the 21 billion, the sale of Cullinan Tower, and the recovery of Omni, these are all cash items. All these items have become part of our cash earning, which were non-earning assets before. They are already part of our balance sheet and our cash starting from January this year. So we have a full year impact of all these. All these cash items are over 30 billion rupees. So if you calculate that at 11%, so that in itself gives us a lot of positivity at the bottom line for this year. Other than that, you must have seen today, it is a front page advertisement of many newspapers that our rating has been reinstated. We were actually working without any rating. That means majority of the bankable business was not available to us. The government deposits, the corporate deposits. So since the rating is reinstated, our correspondent banks relationship will be reinstated. A lot of restrictions from the regulator will be taken off. We'll be working as a normal bank. So the only way forward is that we'll be inshallah multiplying our balance sheet, both on deposits, on trade business and on our advances. So that increased balance sheet will again put a great impact on our bottom line. Inshallah, it will positively. So all these factors, I would reiterate again that there is only one way going forward, and that is very profitable and growth, multiple facet growth in our balance sheet, inshallah.
And so one question is, what is the core activity profit?
Core activity, if you see that, we cannot be compared to a normal bank. With a small balance sheet, having such a big NPL, having so many assets, so much capital invested in fixed assets, you cannot have a core which is positive. So now, with all these restructuring schemes intact, with all that cash coming in, with all that positive capital, with all those things which I have just been explaining, the core activity will definitely be positive.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And the next question is, what is expected EPS for 2026?
you know, that I should not answer that right now, but it will be good, inshallah.
डिप्लोमेटिक ब्रीफिंग शुरू हो
It shall be good.
सीबीएस खत्म हो गई है डिप्लोमेटिक
सीईओ साहब की स्टेटमेंट में पता है ना ₹5 शेयर बढ़ गया
I think, sir, this is the last question, that assuming 10.3% shareholding is cancelled for the sponsor and the same shares are allocated to minority shareholders, it would result in a 67% bonus share issue, given a free float of 150 million shares. How come you have guided up to 50% bonus issue?
It is 50, if we calculate. If you have a particular question, you can give us your details. Somebody from our finance in the bank will contact you or the company secretary to explain you the formula. But it is 49 point something %, not 70.
उसको भी देंगे ना उसको टीएमसी
ये सरूर इन्वेस्टमेंट भी एलिजिबल होगी फॉर गेटिंग
जी जो सरूर देखें, सरूर का मैं दोबारा एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ. सरूर इज नो मोर. देयर इज एन एक्स पार्टी अगेंस्ट सरूर एंड those shares are with the court now. And
those shares will not be
they will be, whosoever is there on that particular
On that
day will be
will be
specific. Yeah, definitely.
आपके बढ़ जाएंगे
Inshallah.
ओमनी ग्रुप को भी चेक
ओमनी ग्रुप का कोई तलक नहीं है जी. उसके अगेंस्ट एक्स पार्टी फैसला हुआ था और मनी डिक्री जो है वो हमारे पास है और जो शेयर्स ऑक्शन हो रहे हैं वो कोर्ट के पास है. कोर्ट का ही अकाउंट खुला हुआ है और उस शेयर्स का ऑक्शन आरिफ हबीब कर रहे हैं.
So if there are no further questions, Ji. So may I request
वो जो लास्ट थे ना उसका एक स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन था उनको क्या इनबॉक्स करते हैं उनको हम फिर डिटेल्स
जी.
समझा दें.
जो अभी लास्ट आपका बोनस शेयर के ऊपर क्वेश्चन था परसेंटेज के ऊपर, काइंडली आप ईमेल कर दें या ज़रा प्रॉपरली क्वेश्चन एक रेज कर दें तो हम आपको उसमें डिटेल में इसका रिस्पांस कर देंगे. थैंक यू.
सर ये सारा जो है ना, अगर आप जाके हमारे पब्लिक डिस्क्लोजर्स देखेंगे ये सारी चीज़ें एम्पली एक दफ़ा नहीं कई दफ़ा एक्सप्लेन कर चुके हैं. जी जी कई दफ़ा हमने डिस्क्लोजर किए हैं सर इसमें.
50% जब शेयर बोनस आएंगे
गिफ्ट शेयर
60 to say 50% डाउन 31 भी आ जाएगी.
नहीं ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. जो वो तो एक अलग चीज़ है ना, इसको मार्केट प्राइस से कोई तल्लुक नहीं.
अच्छा मार्केट प्राइस का
कोई तल्लुक नहीं है. वो नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स तो उतनी ही है ना, वो स्पॉन्सर से निकल के आपको मिल रहे हैं.
ये हो सकता है कि 55 हो जाए 60 हो जाए 75 हो जाए 80 हो जाए
कुछ भी
प्राइस कुछ भी हो सकता है.
आप देखें ना TFC का आज हमारा जो डिस्क्लोजर आप लोगों ने अप्रूवल दिया वो 118 रुपए पे हुआ है और वो बैंक्स हैं DFIs हैं, वो कुछ ना कुछ तो देख रहे होंगे ना.
जब सेलिंग प्रेशर आएगा तो मार्केट
Ji sir, with this sir, may we declare the meeting closed?
यस
Yeah.
थैंक यू.
Thank you very much. बहुत शुक्रिया.
Recording stopped.